Hey, this video is about the splenic flexure syndrome and gastroenteritis, whether it's caused by food or caught from someone else virally. Um, I'm going to get to that topic, but I'm just going to say some things first. I haven't made a video in quite some time because I've been super busy and I've also been sick too. So um, I started doing like a fundraiser event for people in Africa. At first, it was supposed to be for First Nations people for drinking water. And pardon me, I don't feel good right now because of my splenic flexure syndrome. Actually, and like I've eaten a whole bunch of stuff, so I'm not well in this video right now. Hence why I make this. So I wanted to raise money, and for these life-saving water filters. They're like miracle water filters. And so, like, I got the idea from a Christian, like CBN News. You can look up Texas Ministry Water Miracle. If you look that up, you'll see what I'm talking about. So I'm like, I have to raise money for this. I want to help people. First, it was supposed to be for the First Nations because they don't have safe drinking water, but I couldn't get in contact with them. And so I gave that idea up, and I decided to donate what I got to people in Uganda and just places over Africa. So what I did is I went out and I started canvassing door to door, and many people didn't like that, but people were, giving money here and there. And I felt kind of uncomfortable, like I didn't have a card saying I'm doing it for them or anything, even though I contacted the ministry and they said, we'll give you this, like a card and all that type of stuff. And I'm like, this isn't working as I thought. So what I did is I'm like, I know, I'll use my candle business. I'll sell my candles and say I'm giving 50% of my profit. And so that's what I did. And but it was hard because I have 11 pain disorders, so it was very tough going. It was very tough going door to door. It takes a lot of energy and stuff. So I'm like selling my candles. I'm going to show you two new candles I have, by the way. I'll show you these quick. I'm going to get to the splenic flexure syndrome. I just haven't made a video in a long time. These are awesome, detailed. I don't know what this is. It's like a Grim Reaper or a knight with a cloak on with a sword. Can you see that? And there's also a small version of that, but there's this guy too. This guy's pretty cool. It's like a Knights Templar. That's kind of. So I decided to use my candle business, and after a while, I'm like, it was doing pretty well. And I didn't like I didn't like saying this is for a Christian cause. Like, I didn't want to use that, I kind of felt bad doing that, but I raised quite a bit of money, and then I donated. I'm like, I'm just going to go door to door and sell my candles. So that's what I've been doing, and it's been doing quite well. I was just never well enough to do it. I couldn't get out early in the day. You can hear my candles going right now. And so it's been pretty successful, and so that's good, right? Pardon me a second, it's very difficult to speak. I've been having a lot of trouble with my splenic flexure. Give me a second, please. Right now I'm at the height of eating oatmeal, so that's why I'm like, and another pain dose like a Buscopan. So something happened to me about almost a month ago, and it absolutely devastated me. And so what happened was, like when I wake up in the morning with 11 pain disorders, 4 of those are suicide diseases, pain suicide diseases. I tell you, this is the first time this has ever happened. When I get up, I got to take my meds. I need my opiates really bad, and my buscopan. So I woke up. It was like 10 in the morning, and I woke up, and all of a sudden, I just felt like this nausea go across like my bowel and like into my stomach. And at first, I just tried to let it go off, and just tolerate it. I just tried to tolerate it, but then like 5 minutes later, it happened again, and then I knew I was going to vomit, and or certainly felt like I was going to. And I went to the edge of my bed really quick, and I vomited over my bed, and I'm like, holy, like feeling's horrible. And I sat on the edge of my bed, I vomited on my floor again, and then I knew I had to come out. I made it to my sink here, and I was just repeatedly vomiting. I'm like, the only thing I had in my mind was, I have to take my meds. If I don't take my meds, I'm in trouble. If this continues, I'm in trouble. So I tried to take my meds, and within like a minute it came up, and I'm like, I can't waste my opiates this way either, they're very important to me because you get like exact amounts, right? And I tried it again, and it did the same thing. I tried it again, it did the same thing. I was in the bathroom. I was like, I didn't know what to do. At first, I called my dad. I'm like, I think I might have to call 911. I'm not going to get him to take me because, I don't want to be vomiting everywhere. And so I had to call 911. I was brought to the hospital. It was so hard going there in an ambulance. I was like vomiting, and I had no pain meds in me. It was so painful. I got there, and I was vomiting on the floor, and like I had a bag with me, but I didn't have it in my hand all the time. It was horrible. And they offered for me to stay overnight, but I started getting better because they gave me like these anti-nauseants. They gave me shots of Dilaudid, and I started to get better. But they did a CT scan, and they found a problem with my bowel called intussusception. And even though that went away, I don't know. It was just I've never seen that before. But they said I had gastroenteritis, and I didn't want to stay over, so I went home. And when those things wear off, like I didn't vomit again, but the stomach flu, which I think was likely from food. I eat a lot of fresh food. I wash my stuff very carefully, but it was absolutely horrible. I lay in my bed without going out for walks for 5 days. I was so sick. All I felt, and I don't know if it was my stomach or the splenic flexure, was like pounding through my back. Every time I ate, it was pounding through my back. And it made me remember the way I was when I was bedbound in 2015, not eating, and it felt the same. And I can tell you, I felt like I was going to go back to that time. It was scary. So it took me about 10 days to recover and all. So now I do everything even more careful, just a lot more careful. You can't afford to get that if you have, issues with things like adhesive arachnoiditis, with all the other pain disorders and stuff. But I make this video because I mean it especially for people with the splenic flexure syndrome. I'm going to make it very clear. I've made quite a few videos about this. I have not been diagnosed, okay? That's the first time I've said that. of all my pain disorders and troubles, I haven't had that one diagnosed. I've been to many, just like emergency physicians. I've been through gastroenterologists. I asked for the diagnosis. They said they didn't know what it was, and it's my opinion that it's not seen very often. They see it, but it's usually caused by people who are smoking, drinking alcohol, eating a lot of chocolate, because everyone can get a bout of stool, and a lot of stool, a lot of gas in the splenic flexure, and then you have that wicked colic that comes. It's horrible. But with people with the splenic flexure syndrome, it's always there, and it's just always worse. Gets worse when you eat. It doesn't always have to be like that. It can be when you go for long walks. And so I found my first evidence. So I had surgery that did this. I'll get to the gastroenteritis and what it did. I had surgery on my abdomen, major surgery, and that's what caused it, probably from adhesions. And I just found a CT scan that shows that my surgery was done at the splenic flexure and that they tied it there. So I have my proof. Give me a sec. I've been waiting to get this specific diagnosis for a long time. It does matter to me that people aren't versed how to diagnose this properly. It says from an X, you can get an X-ray, you can get it whatever. You can see it all built up there. So I've had this for 8 years. The only thing that stops the pain is Buscopan. I'm sure opiates probably help it, but they hinder it. It's Buscopan that helps. So what I'm making this video for is that when you get gastroenteritis, it's going to take you 2 or 3 times longer to food stuck in my throat. It's going to take you 2 or 3 times longer to heal from it, not from the inflammation, but from what the inflammation does. So all that inflammation that happens in your bowel and in your stomach, well, sorry, in your bowel, but it does that to your stomach too. But the splenic flexure is in the bowel, right? But the stomach affects it, and they affect one another. It causes you a lot of air in your stomach, gas, diarrhea, all that type of stuff. And one of the reasons I'm having a hard time right now is because I've been trying to gain weight without success, and I'm quite sick right now. It's because of my splenic flexure. I have to give up the weight gain because it's that hard. Everything is making me sick, like everything. I just stick to my normal diet. But what happens when you get all that stuff built up there in your transverse colon? So you have gastroenteritis, right? If you don't have the splenic flexure syndrome, what happens is you can let that stuff out. You can have gas. You can have diarrhea, right? And that's what gastroenteritis is, the stomach flu. But when you have the splenic flexure syndrome, what happens is all that stuff gets trapped in your transverse colon, and it can't make it past because it gets stuck up in the splenic flexure. So all that restlessness, all that colic that you feel, all those attacks of cold sweats, all of that gets so much worse because your colon goes, the ascending colon, and then it makes a turn at the hepatic flexure, and then your transverse colon kind of goes like this, right? Like this, or if it's warped, it'll go even further down than up. But it goes up into the splenic flexure, gets caught here. For other people, it just goes down like that. So everything gets caught, and then you have wicked attacks of colic, and it takes a long time to recover. So I just wanted to make a video about that because I think it's important for people to know about the splenic flexure syndrome. I make YouTube videos about the splenic flexure syndrome and things that are important, because no one else, I don't know if anyone else has made a video about the splenic flexure syndrome, but I'm pretty sure I'm probably the first person. And it's important to know these things. So it's very tough when you're trying to gain weight, and that's very tough. I'm trying to figure out right now why my weight is so low, and it may have to do something with my esophagus and my throat, my lower esophageal sphincter. But this happened to me in 2015, and my weight had been dropping for about 4 years to that point. I used to be 190 pounds, and the most I can get to is 126. And when people look at me, they say, like, do you have celiac disease or something? And I do look wasted, when people see me, but the thing is, I'm very muscular. And it's not true cachexia, but the wasting, because the abdominal syndromes are that bad. So it's very hard to gain weight with the splenic flexure syndrome. I don't